Welcome to Life with Layra. We will be cooking for one today. We're making spring rolls. So you have, we're going to have an appetizer. So the spring rolls are right here. We have our spring wraps, which I bought on Amazon. Super simple. They are spring roll skins. Generally, you find them in Korean spring rolls if you need like a little help finding them. We have our boiled chicken, which all I did was a few days ago, I put 2 chicken breasts and a chopped up onion in water and I boiled for an hour. We have 2 kinds of sprouts, head of lettuce. We have a Okinawan vegetable that I can only describe as a cucumber or similar to. We have a daikon radish, cucumbers, carrot, and little cute dandelion flowers. The sauce that we will have on our spring roll is hoisin sauce. If you're going for a healthier version, I would go with Bragg's Aminos. It's high in sugar. Then for our appetizer, we're going to have edamame. We're going to have it steamed. Right now it's frozen, as you can see. And you can buy this bamboo steamer at any Asian market or online. Amazon carries them as well. And then I just bought a bag of frozen edamame. No big deal. And mine is in Japanese, but you can find edamame, or also known as soybeans, in any grocery store nowadays. The seasoning will be garlic powder, soy sauce, and layu. You can find this also at any Oriental or Asian market. And if you're going for a healthier version, avoid soy sauce and go with tamari. And that is all, and now we're going to start our prep work. Okay, so I'm putting filtered water about 3/4 of an inch, but it really doesn't matter, on the stove on low heat, just enough to get it hot enough where it's like almost too hot to touch. This is my daikon radish. I'm going to just cut the bottom and top off, and I'm going to use the spiralizer. After cutting that open, I realized that it was no longer good, so I won't be using my Okinawan cucumber. These are just normal cucumbers, and what I'm going to try and do is make little tiny slivers of cucumber. If you don't like the skin, you can go ahead and remove the skin before making like straws almost out of it. I'm going to do the same thing with the carrot. And once again, if you have a problem with the skin, go ahead and remove the skin before you dice it or slice it into little tiny slivers. The smaller you make the slivers, the easier it will be to eat, because it won't be, quite so much carrot in each bite. This is just iceberg lettuce. You could use any kind of lettuce. I like the crunchiness of the iceberg lettuce, and especially because this is I guess a healthier version of the spring roll. We're going to be using, so I call this a spiralizer. You can buy them on Amazon. It has little tiny metal teeth, and it's basically going to make pasta out of that daikon radish just by spinning it through and past a blade. So instead of using rice noodles, I'm going to go ahead and use daikon radish noodles and save a little bit. So my water, as you can see, it's nice and warm, just hot enough to be uncomfortable to touch. I'm going to take my wrap, drop it in the water, let it sit for a second, and then pull it out. You don't want it to let it sit in there too long because it'll get too soft. And then you want to shake off as much water as you can before you move it to your cutting board. I found that wood cutting boards seem to work the best because the wrap doesn't really want to stick to it. Now, you can use any veggie you want. Like, you do not need to be restricted to the veggies that I picked. This is just what happened to be in my refrigerator when I wanted to eat spring rolls. So, but having, a little bit of everything is nice. And maybe you don't like carrots, so you don't put carrots in it. You're not required. And dandelions can be a little bitter, so if you do not like the bitter flavor, I would definitely not put them in. These sprouts,
You could use any sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, bean sprouts. Actually, bean sprouts would probably be excellent because they're so nice and crunchy. Also, you can make these vegetarian or vegan. I chose to add chicken. At this time I was eating chicken, so I went ahead and added a little bit of boiled chicken. The nice thing about boiled chicken is you get so much out of it. You get the meat and you also get the broth out of it, so I like to cook other things with it. And then rolling it up is very easy. You can put the sauce inside the wrap, or you can add it on the side and you can use it as a dip. It's really up to you. Oh, I forgot to add the last sprouts. I believe those are radish sprouts. So they add kind of a spicy flavor to your spring roll. So, and then you just roll from the bottom, just kind of how the same way you'd roll an egg roll or a burrito. You roll from the bottom, and then you tuck each side. And the more you do, the better you'll get at this. So the reason this makes such a great meal for one is it's super, super easy to make, and you can make as much or as little as you want. So, and this is our hoisin sauce. You can choose any sauce. There's also like a sweet chili sauce that they sell that's really good with these at most Asian markets. It's excellent, actually. Hoisin, I was just in the mood for hoisin that day. So just a little bit on the side. Remember that the hoisin sauce is super high in sugar and salt, so this is definitely not part of the healthy side of this meal. You can always replace it with Bragg's aminos, and it would be much healthier. So, and it is delicious. Spring rolls are one of my favorite.
So now we're moving on to the appetizer, which we're having edamame, but we want it to come out hot, and edamame gets overcooked really easily. So you go ahead and you make your spring rolls first, or whatever you're going to have for dinner, and then you make your edamame. Now the water's already warm because we had warm water for getting our wraps all softened up. So all we have to do is bring it to a boil and throw the bamboo on top of the frying pan, and we're good to go.
So you brought your water to a boil, you put your bamboo with your edamame inside, you waited a few minutes, and you're basically just lightly steaming it. You just want your edamame to be hot. As soon as you've tested it and it's ready, you go ahead and pour it into a mixing bowl. Something that has a lid is best because you're going to toss your edamame in the seasoning so that they're coated, so that when you do finally eat them, you get a little bit of everything in each bite. So I do 3 squirts of Liu, but depending on how spicy you want it, you want to control that a little. A few dashes of garlic powder, and then a little bit of soy sauce. So now all you're going to do is put the lid on, shake it up, and you're going to have spicy hot edamame. This is one of my favorite meals to eat by myself because it's healthy and I can have as much or as little as I want, and you can easily make food for 1 person or 5 people with this meal. Feel free to experiment with different spices on your edamame. Feel free to experiment with different meats or vegetables in your spring rolls. These spring rolls are excellent with shrimp. They're excellent with pork. They're excellent all by themselves with just some really cool veggies, and they're really great with rice noodles. Thank you for joining me while we made spring rolls and edamame. I hope you join us soon because we are going to do rotisserie chicken.